For my people out there, let Metcalf would have been your black son. Y'all will be singing a different tune. I guarantee it. You want to know what y'all be saying? Because y'all saying now. Y'all saying now about these young dudes, all this stuff. Y'all saying now. Why he had to take a knife to a track meet? Why they just couldn't use their hand? Why they couldn't fight? These young kids that y'all want to pull out weapons. Had that been your black son, that's what you would have been saying. To be real for a second. Who takes a knife to a high school track meet with the intentions of using it, pulling it out and using it on somebody? Took the knife. You intentionally went in another team's tent. Mind you, this is a track meet. This is multiple schools there. School got they different tents, they different setups. You intentionally went to another team setup. So he sees this guy who don't belong under this tent, under the tent. He says, "Hey, bro, you gotta leave. You not on our team." Anthony took that as, "Bro, touch me and see what happened." That's what we do. That's your first response to somebody telling you to leave their tent when you don't supposed to be there. Your first response is touch me and see what happened, and you go in the bag and grab a knife. Austin proceeds to push him. They say he proceeded to touch, like push him out of the tent. Somebody said he tried to grab him himself out the tent. And then Anthony just pulls out a knife and stabs him. It's going to be hard to prove self-defense. I'm sorry. Self-defense is my life is in danger. A teenage disagreement, a teenage dispute, something like that does not constitute pulling out a knife and stabbing somebody. But it's going to be hard to prove self-defense unless you got a doggone Mickey Haller or Annalise King or Jax or somebody like that. I don't know how you're going to prove self-defense.
You won't believe how fast the pro-black crowd flipped on Karmelo Anthony's parents. Because right now, the same people who screamed "Free Karmelo" are turning around and asking the one question nobody wants to ask. Where did all that money actually go? Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
It has really been bothering me, wondering why Charleston White walked away from Karmelo Anthony's family when he was really intent and adamant about helping him. So I went digging and I found why. Y'all, now I'm starting to feel bad for this little boy, because if your parents don't care for you in your greatest time that you need them the most, how the fuck y'all think this kid was raised? So what, you're in a two-parent home? That don't mean you're in a happy two-parent home. That don't mean both parents care about you. And they are really showing their true intentions right now when he is at his absolute lowest. Listen to Charleston White tell y'all why he walked away and why some of the top lawyers in this country will not touch this case. And it ain't got nothing to do with blackness. It ain't got nothing to do with his race. It's because his parents, they're messy and they don't give a fuck about their kid.
Feel like I was being used for my influence and my connections and resources. When I tell you we raised over $1 million one day, privately, quietly. They wanted to start another GoFundMe. I said no, I'm not doing the GoFundMe. They wanted to know after we pay for the pill, will the money go to them? No. The extra money don't go back to you. It goes back to the people who gave it. It don't go to nothing else. The money is for the appeal. So, going forward, I am no longer walking with nor associated or helping Karmelo Anthony. His daddy in the way. I don't like weak, I hate weak men. I'd rather stand with a strong daddy like that Metcalf man than his black weak father trying to play victim. Now, nigga, your son's still living. Hug him, send him some books to read. I got the money, let's start to work on the pill. Anything else don't make sense. Nigga, fucking wrong with you. So, myself, along with criminal defense mitigation specialist, Shannon Ross, along with attorney Mitch Nolte, we are removing ourselves. Mitch was never on the case, but Mitch said he's not taking the case. Mitch said he's not taking the case. Why? Too many hands involved. They're trying to bring too many black lawyers involved. We don't need blackness. We need righteousness. We need righteousness. We don't need blackness. So the dad done rubbed me the wrong way. Nigga, when I got an email from Mitch Nolte, one of the top attorneys, well, I didn't get the email. The email was forwarded to me. But if Mitch ain't in, and Mitch won't get in, and Mitch won't take it, it's something stinky about this. And I'm telling the nigga, say, homie, everybody believe you playing for the money, nigga. And I'm starting to believe you using me for it. You want to get the money, but then disassociate yourself from me?
With this information, I look at this whole everything totally different. I feel like, in my personal opinion, the parents told him not to take the deal. That he could have did 7 years, did 3.5 and would have been home. Why? Because the moment he signed that deal, any money in any of them fundraisers, well, in the Give, Send, Go, because the GoFundMe was indeed canceled in return, but the Give, Send, Go was not. And see, they knew that the black community and all the people who were supporting them emotionally wasn't going to do the research and distinguish that there was two separate fundraisers. That one did get canceled, but the other one didn't. They depended on wordplay and played wordplay games and tricked everybody. I believe they told him not to take that plea deal, because if he took that plea deal, then in turn, that fundraiser would have been cut off at that moment. And any funds that weren't used would have been returned to whoever sent it to him. This is nothing but a money grab to them. I don't know who is advising this family, but whoever is advising this family do not have that little boy best interest in heart. They don't care, okay? They simply don't care. And you can tell the type of people they are when they wanted more money, more money. This man that raised $1 million for y'all, and y'all talking about another one? What? And because he did this privately and silently, and others didn't know, y'all knew another GoFundMe was going to go up. But that's what y'all focus on, right? He had $1 million and one of the top lawyers already on the table, ready to go. If this was about your son, you would have took that deal and you would have freaking ran with it. I'm so sick of these people. I am so sick of it. But instead, you want to play this, it's about black against white game. You want to continue to try to play people's emotions and play these Democratic Party games to pin everybody against each other. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Fuck that. They don't care about that little boy. They want to pay them bills in that motherfucking mansion because they can't afford them now. They can't afford them bills. Like, this is really, really, really for real pissing me off. And I'm on there with Charleston White. It ain't about blackness. It's about righteousness. It's about fairness. If you feel like your son didn't get a fair trial, take that $1 million in that lawyer and get your son his freaking appeal. Girl, what? I feel bad for that boy now. For real.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do feel like I just want to have a conversation about it, and feel free to come in the comments, but don't come crazy. Karmelo Anthony is in jail. He was sentenced to 35 years. I guess with good behavior, he's eligible for parole at the halfway mark, which will make it like 17 and a half years. Karmelo Anthony could have gotten less time had he taken a plea deal. Everybody knows this is Criminal Justice 101. Everybody's offered a plea deal at the arraignment. They decided not to take that. But let's backtrack. Let's go all the way back. We talk about race too often when race is not the concern. If the situation was a little bit different and it was a white kid who killed a black kid, OMG, all hell would break loose. But now it's all about self-defense. Well, no, again, Criminal Justice 101 tells you that was not self-defense. And yes, it was premeditated according to the law. Everybody in the black community, y'all too emotionally involved and you miss the facts. But I'm going to give it to you a little bit further back. Let me just say this. In the black community, we are failing our children because you know what? We stopped with the structure in the home. It doesn't matter if you live in $1 million house and you live in the best neighborhood. What's happening in that house? These kids are going in that room, closing their doors, and they're listening to this music. And I'm going to tell you something. As an educator, this music today is the worst thing for your children. The worst, okay? All hip-hop culture does is exemplify being a baby mama, being a baby daddy, killing, shooting, smoking, doing drugs. They don't even... Listen... Stop it. Put a stop to it. Start taking them back to church. That's where the real structure was. I don't care what your religion is. Take them to a house of worship, okay? Because here's the thing. Church taught you mentorship. It taught you conflict resolution. It taught you patience. You had to sit through that sermon. It didn't matter. If you had ants in your pants, you learned how to control yourself. So now we're walking around talking about this one got ADHD. This one has oppositional defiance. There was no such thing when we were growing up with all of this stuff. And so what happens is we begin to make all of these excuses, and here we are. There will be more Karmelo Anthonys if we don't take a hold of what's going on. Because it ain't about race. It ain't about black and white. It's about structure and discipline. Okay, children need to learn conflict resolution. Okay, so he got pushed. All of the young people are talking about, oh, he have a right to defend himself. That does not equate stabbing someone. It doesn't equate. And that's the thing. We still have a whole lot of rhetoric going around, which is in turn, our young people are listening to this. I'm talking about the little kids, the 10-year-olds, the 11-year-olds. They'll listen to this and they'll think that he was right in what he did based on what happened. We got to teach our children better. And I don't care if you say, oh, I'm a Uncle Tom or I'm a this, I'm a that. Yo, I'm black and I'm proud. Ain't no question about it, okay? I can give it to you any way you want it. But what I will say is I'm not going to sit here and excuse behavior. There's no excuse for that. He stabbed someone and he took someone's life. And that boy is never going to see life. But this boy is going to go to jail. Hopefully he'll come home, and I don't know what the story's going to look like at the end for him. But what I do know is Metcalf, his whole life is over. His twin brother will never enjoy brother experiences with his other half. And that is what we need to focus on. We need to talk to our young people, boys and girls, hip-hop culture, have a bunch of babies, smoke your weed, do your this, do your that, and then you have consequences for your actions. But the music doesn't reflect the consequences. It glorifies this lifestyle. And if you look at Karmelo Anthony's social media, he was toting guns. So it's not about where he lived. We need to study how much of an influence does this music and this culture have on our young people. That's part of the conversation that's missing.
You know what's really fucking sickening? The fact that his family raised how much money? I thought y'all was just playing when y'all said Karmelo had a public defender. I thought that was just jokes. I just Googled it. That boy had a public defender, and they raised how much money and spent it on Cadillac Escalades and rims and houses. I know you fucking lying. They should have hired George Zimmerman's attorney. That's who they should have hired. With all that money. I know you fucking lying, talking about, oh, we're gonna have to appeal and we're gonna have to do that. Like, the fact that they raised that money and didn't put it toward an attorney for their son tells me they didn't give a fuck about their son. That breaks my heart.
Karmelo Anthony killed someone, guys. And it wasn't because of white supremacy. It was because of black culture. It's because of the murder music we listen to, the lack of accountability that is coming out of the black community, the lack of leadership that is coming out of the black community. I'm telling you right now that the world and the country is getting tired of the dysfunction that is coming out of the black community, okay? It is affecting everybody else, and quite frankly, it is a problem in this country, okay? And black people refuse to accept and look and recognize that we have a problem. Houston, we have a fucking problem. Okay? And as long as we keep sitting here acting like it's everybody else and it's not us, I'm telling you, people are going to keep dying. Okay? People are going to keep dying, and the black community is not going to get better. Okay? What happened to this little boy was so unfortunate. Both of them. It is so unfortunate, but I guarantee you, you guys have not thought about that family that lost their kid. This is disgusting. That is behavior that is coming from black people, and we have to do better. Okay, we have to do better. We have to have more compassion, and we have to teach our children emotional intelligence. Seriously.
Only black people are at the point where they will feel sorry for the criminal and the murderer more than the actual person who's not with us anymore. The actual victim, they don't care about. Everyone feels sorry for this little monster. I never felt comfortable around you niggas. That's why I got the hell away from y'all. Y'all think this is a game. Like, oh, you're just saying this for likes and clicks. No, I'm not even near you niggas. My kids don't go to school with you niggas. This ain't for likes. This is for real. Like growing up, when my friends would come over, hey, my dad would check them at the door. Listen, man, you got to take that do-rag off. This do-rag ain't allowed here. My dad didn't like do-rags. Because he watches the news. He see who's doing the killing. Take that do-rag off before you come over. And that's all. Like, and you know, when I was a kid, I didn't understand. I'm like, why is dad like this? What's going on with dad, Ma? Why is he tripping? Why is he embarrassing me? My mom sat me down, told me a story. Listen, your dad's seen a lot of things. What do you mean, Ma? What happened? You know, I never told you this, and don't tell your father I told you, but when we were young, you know, we used to party at your dad's house, you know, when we were 16, and his brother had just come home from the military. His brother was older, you know, your father looked up to him. He was kind of the protector of the home. Everybody loved him. He was just a great guy. Just came home from the military. You know, and they threw a party for him. Celebrating, everybody celebrating downstairs. What happens? A knock on the door. My father's brother goes up the stairs, opens the door. What is it? A bunch of monsters. You know, do-rag wearing monsters. Yo, we want to come to the party. My father's brother tells him, no, you're not allowed. Nobody else is allowed. We're going to just keep having this party and you guys are going to leave. What do? Oh, yeah? Put a gun to his head, shoot him in the head. He fall down the stairs, dies in front of my dad. My dad is traumatized by y'all. From that moment, man, he just didn't want nothing to do with you. He stayed in Brooklyn a little longer, seen more things happen, and then he got to them books. Yo, I got to get out of here. I cannot raise a family here. It's not safe. It's a reason why people want to get away from y'all. You have an animalistic monster mentality. Nobody wants to be around. Shoot first, ask questions later. That's how y'all move. Y'all don't even fight no more. Ain't no hands, one-on-ones. Y'all just go straight to killing. Obviously, it's not all black people. There's a lot of good black people out here. There's a lot of monsters as well. And it's not hard to tell who's who. And that is exactly why Austin Metcalf.
So Karmelo Anthony gets found guilty of ending the life of Austin Metcalf, and people out there, full-grown human adults, are actually upset because they were supporting him because the color of his skin matched theirs. And they expect that people like myself will also take up for him. I'll be the first to tell you that nothing could be further from the truth. I will never stand with those kinds of people, and neither should you. See, all the BLM or this or that or diversity buzzwords, so on and so forth, it was never about that. It was always about black supremacy. You know it, and I know it. Like, we're at a point now where individuals will literally crowdfund for someone who ended the life of someone else who honestly had no business bringing a knife to a track meet in the first place, but I digress. But this is the world we live in, and this kind of anger, this kind of vitriol can truly only come from this deep-seated hatred of white people. That really is what it boils down to. And the fact that people are upset that we got the accurate verdict handed down goes to show just how many people out there really do think that black people should be allowed to play by a different set of rules. And I will not stand with those kinds of people. There's plenty of people out there who are tired of seeing the way that many in the black community have been allowed to act for so long, and they're getting tired of it with very, very good reason. I myself am one of them. So I am happy that we actually were able to get a guilty verdict, and I'm hopeful now that the sentencing portion will actually give him a punishment.
Karmelo parents and the sorry-ass defense team is why he lost in court today. If you don't already know, Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty, and it's his parents and the defense team's fault. Now, he had enough money raised to hire one of the best lawyers in the country, but his parents mishandled the funds. They wanted to vlog and floss and, spend the money on other things. And they told you that they spent all of his money and y'all donated even more. What gets me about stuff like this is, now you pass over smaller families in the Black community that ask for GoFundMe, donations to they're facing homelessness, they need a car, something like that. Y'all pass those up and tell them to pray about it. But Karmelo's parents spent his money. You donated more. I don't understand how y'all think, but it's not for me to understand whether you like it or not. He was found guilty, and that's the end of it. Austin's father, I think what really pushed it over is Austin's father not taking a completely right-wing agenda. He wasn't, pushing all the racist, pro-white things. He just said he's not racist. He doesn't want any of the pro-white people, trying to make it into a race issue. And he forgave him. So this white man who had a black man take his child away from him still held no malice in his heart. And I think that's what helped their case the most. My personal opinion. But his parents, like I said, had the ability to hire a lawyer and get a desirable verdict. But you make the mistake that most people make when they get money in their hand and they're not used to having none. On y'all again.
Help me understand why y'all are out here trying to normalize aggression being defined from the perspective of the aggressor. Karmelo Anthony is a child. Austin Metcalf, may he rest in peace, was a child. We've normalized taking a child's perspective that asking someone 15 times to move, being in a group, different races of people, the one kid that they're talking to, telling them to move 15 times, is a minority race, not only in populace in the country, but in that stadium that day. And then being able to define a push as non-aggressive is diabolical. It's given preemptive defensive strikes.
That if we didn't preemptively go after them, we went proactively in a defensive way.
What's happening in real time is like things have been being turned upside down to the extent that people are believing that the aggressor has the ability to predetermine and predefine the impact of their aggression, repackage it, reframe it, and describe it as something different than what's actually transpiring. If you give license to a person to persist and insist 15 times to perform an act that they refuse, at what point does the ask in and of itself become aggressive in nature? And then when you add on any corresponding action, it becomes overly aggressive. So why is the perspective of the aggression or the fear of harm or the perception that you're about to be harmed get to be defined by those who are the aggressors or the perpetrators or those that are on the affirmative side of the interaction? That doesn't make any sense, y'all. There's no way that somebody can ask somebody 15 times to move, then push them, be with the majority population, not only by race, but by school affiliation. He was outnumbered. And you mean to tell me that his response has to be commensurate to what the dominant culture says the response should be? In that case, because in other cases, it's extraordinarily clear that the response can be something that includes a non-requirement to retreat, an affirmative obligation and duty to stand your ground. But on this one, you can't. We got to consider, why did you have that thing? Instead of, why did they do that thing? You can't ask somebody 15 times to do something. Outnumber the person that you're asking. Push the person in any way, and all of that in the totality of those circumstances not be perceived as aggressive. I honestly believe that the prosecutor asked the wrong question. The question was not whether or not the push was aggressive. It's inherently aggressive given and continue the totality of circumstances. The question is whether push had enough force to cause him to fall, or was it overly forceful, or how much force was applied to the push. The whole situation was inherently aggressive because of the acts that preceded the push. Remember when you was young, when people used to hit somebody, you'd be like, that didn't hurt. That's the same energy, y'all. Stay woke.
He played pussy and got fucked. For the black people saying, oh, we don't think that he shouldn't have been convicted. It just should have been for a lesser crime. No, I don't think he should have been convicted at all, because I think that white boy should have kept his hands to himself. And unfortunately, for every action, there's the equal opposite reaction. And you never know what that reaction is going to be. So you keep your motherfucking hands to yourself. Don't put your hands on people. Because nobody sends their child to school to be bullied, to be harassed, to be fucked with, to be intimidated, to be somebody's fucking punching bag. I don't understand what y'all missing here. And my mother always told me she much rather me come home, right, and have to face a fucking charge than to have to be sent home in a fucking body bag. Am I upset with that young man for doing what he thought that he needed to do in order to make it home to his parents? Absolutely the fuck not. And you can never convince me otherwise, because I much rather have to fight for my child's life in a courtroom than to have to fight for my child's life in a motherfucking body bag. Completely two different situations. And unfortunately, that white boy won't raise the same. Because if he was, he would have learned that he needed to shut the fuck up. Because that boy had already gave him multiple warnings about what the fuck he had on him. And you wanted to keep playing. And unfortunately, in the words of black people, he played pussy and got fucked. Simple as that.
So where does that leave us? Honestly, I'm not here to tell you Karmelo Anthony is guilty or innocent. That's not my lane. And frankly, 12 people sat in that courtroom and made that call. Not me, not Charleston White, not anybody on this app. What I would say is this: regardless of where you land on the verdict, the way this case was handled outside the courtroom should bother you. You raised over $500,000 publicly with your son's face and your son's freedom on the line. And somehow the defense strategy still looks underfunded and underprepared by the time it gets to trial. That's not a race issue. That's not a conspiracy. That's a decision somebody made. And when the people closest to him are reportedly stepping back, asking pointed questions about where the money went, that's not the internet making things up. That's people who were actually in the room. I'm not saying the parents sat out to hurt their son. I am saying that when you're handed that much trust and that much money, the bare minimum is make sure every dollar is working for the kid whose name is on the GoFundMe. If the legal team was underpowered, if corners were cut, if a plea deal that could have meant a fraction of the time on the table got waived off, somebody owes an explanation for that. And right now, the silence is louder than any statement they could put out. So here is what I want from you. Drop your honest take in the comments, not the talking points, not what you're supposed to say, what you actually think. Do you believe the parents handled this the right way? Did the defense do everything it could? And where does the family go from here? Let's hear it. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.